my lovely listeners, and welcome to Willow's Wonderful Tales. Today's story is called The Blue Dragon. It was another rainy night in Crystal City, the droplets of rain collecting on the pavement like watery pearls as Stella Aster silently walked through the dismal weather, having been caught in the autumn rainstorm with the unfortunate luck of having neither her car nor her umbrella. She wore a rose-colored coat paired with gray pants and tall black boots. Her dark hair that usually fell in waves across her shoulders now hung limply around them due to the rain. A simple pendant in the shape of a jasmine flower hung around her neck, silver hoops dangling from her ears. While she was usually aware of her surroundings, this time she failed to notice a dark figure following her until it was too late. With a rough tug of her arm, she was dragged into an alleyway by an unknown person wearing a black domino mask and a black zip-up hoodie thrown over their head, holding what appeared to be a knife. "Empty your pockets right now. Give me everything that you have," a voice that sounded oddly familiar to her said. Stella laughed at the ridiculousness of the situation. Firstly, the man was holding a toy knife. Just because it was dark didn't mean that she hadn't seen his weapon. And secondly, the man trying to rob her hadn't bothered to disguise his voice or himself. His hood fell down and she recognized him as Timothy Vale, the orange-haired, brown-eyed assistant secretary in the detective agency where she worked. "Timothy, I know it's you. You didn't do a very good job of trying to disguise yourself or your voice, and the lack of a real weapon honestly doesn't surprise me." "Be quiet. I don't know what you're talking about," exclaimed the voice in a panic. "How do you think it's going to look now if they find out you tried to rob me while I was on my way home?" "No one's going to find out anything if you do as I ask. You think you're so selfless trying to talk your way out of this situation and trying to calm me down. You have no idea what it's like to be me. I don't have a choice." Before Stella could respond, another figure dropped down in front of her, dressed in all black and wearing an elaborate mask shaped in the face of a dragon, colored blue. Before things could happen further, the masked figure wordlessly disarmed Timothy, knocked him unconscious, and picked him up, leaving Stella standing there alone. Stella, unbothered by what had just happened, simply walked out of the alleyway and continued to make her way home as if nothing had happened. By the time she reached home, the rain had stopped falling. She walked into the apartment building where she lived and walked up the stairs to the second floor, stopping in front of a navy-colored door numbered 22. Reaching for her keys, she unlocked the door to her apartment at the same time as her neighbor, famous attorney Luca Stone. Water dripped from his teal locks onto his sharp black suit as he turned the key in the lock. His sky-blue eyes met her dark brown eyes as his mouth turned upward in an amused smile. "Did you forget to drive again?" he asked, laughing. She rolled her eyes at him before answering, "No, I definitely decided to walk in the rain because I enjoy being thoroughly soaked." He chuckled lightly. "No need to be so sarcastic, Miss Astor. I was only concerned for your well-being, especially since that notorious criminal who calls himself the Blue Dragon has been spotted once more in the city. I think I can handle myself just fine, Mr. Stone. Thanks for your concern." With that statement, she turned and stepped into her apartment, shutting the door firmly. Turning on the lights, she was greeted by the sight of the very same criminal she and her neighbor were talking about mere moments ago. "Miss Astor, it's nice to see you again," a voice as clear as ice said in a somewhat amused tone. "Oh, great. I can't believe you were in the hallway a few seconds ago and you have the nerve to break into my apartment again. Why do you keep coming back?" she asked in an exasperated tone. He chuckled. "Who else is going to break in and steal the evidence you have on me? After all, it's not like you've given up trying to prove Luca Stone is the Blue Dragon. You would think after all the times I saved you, I would at least get some form of thanks." "I didn't need to be saved this time, or any other time. In fact, Timothy Vale didn't even have a real knife. It was fake, and I could have taken care of the situation myself." Luca Stone contemplated Stella's words for a moment. "But what you didn't see is that Mr. Vale had every intention of kidnapping you should his robbery attempt fail. He had a few people waiting nearby with a car. I had to get through them before I found him." She sighed in annoyance. "I appreciate that you look out for me, but I have a job to do too. The detective agency put me as the lead on this case, and every single time I find enough evidence to prove that you are in fact the Blue Dragon, you break in and steal all the files, no matter how secure or no matter how many times I carry them with me. Before she could continue further, he interrupted. But have I ever actually hurt anyone? I only take things and give them to people who need them, nothing more and nothing less. Does it make what I do right? No, but for one thing, it's definitely amusing to see all those untalented detectives solve the clues. Except for you, my dear, you always seem to be one step ahead of me, which is why I'm always 2 steps ahead of you. Before Stella could respond, he jumped out of the window and disappeared, possibly back to his own apartment. Stella huffed as she changed out of her wet clothes and made a cup of tea. Luca's words did make a bit of sense, however. He hadn't actively hurt anyone aside from knocking a few other crooks out. But he was a famous attorney who most likely made a fortune, so why would he need to steal things and give them to people? Crystal City had many organizations that did those kinds of things. Or did they? Perhaps Luca had found something out about the organizations and was just waiting for Stella to figure it out. Either way, she would look into the organizations tomorrow and get to the bottom of all the strange things that were happening around the city.